Well, good morning, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to another trading session. And it is Wednesday, so middle of the week. And yeah, we are approaching Christmas as well. Very fast, very quickly, honestly. I guess that's how time really runs. It runs very, very quickly. So, yeah, yesterday it was a hard trading day. Price action was not the best in my opinion, but we managed to come out of it in with a win. So yeah, yesterday was not that bad. I did some sort of a mistake here, adding some contracts whenever I wanted to take some partials, but yeah, ended up taking the full position out right here at the top, and then we just moved back and forth. So not much has changed since yesterday's price action, but yeah, we really managed to make a huge drop right prior to the opening, as you can see here. So right now, price is trying to retrace from it. But we left behind previous day low, Monday's low, and we have that level that I talked about in the beginning of the week that I would like to see in the first days of the month being targeted as the 35% 35% of the weekly of the monthly wick. So this is a level that I would like to see being hit sooner or later, just before we head to new all-time highs. So it might happen today, since price is really kind of heavy right prior to the open, and we now opened with a displacement to the downside as well. So I'm curious to see if this is just manipulation for us to go higher and clean these highs that are kind of clean as well. Too clean for me as well. But I think that in order to go to the upside, we need to go a little bit lower. So what I'm expecting here today is a continuation of this bearish leg eventually. Usually we take this as a manipulation, but I'm not that inclined today. So as soon as I start to see price losing some steam to the upside and eventually not being able to move to the upside, I will probably look for shorts, unless, of course, price just displaces here and goes straight to the upside with a V-shaped recovery. But yeah, I don't think that it will happen, because I would like to see previous day low and eventually Monday's low for that to happen. So yeah, I will give it some minutes to the market. We will have some news driver as well, PMI at 9. Let me just check here, 9:45, and PMI at 10. So I'm not sure if we will be able to engage prior to those news, but I'm willing to wait and see, honestly, because a large movement like that on a pre-market situation is always kind of tricky for me, honestly. So at this point, price is trying to move a little bit to the upside. Let me just take a look at YM just to see how YM is really behaving here. So doing somehow the same, just like NQ. So they have similar behaviors today. Yesterday they were kind of diverging a little bit, but not today. So let's see. We still have no first presented fair value gap here on ES. I'm still waiting for it. So yeah, this shaded area that you guys are seeing here is an old NWOG. So far, the 25% of it is being rejected, as you can see here. And price is now trying to displace a little bit lower. Let me take a look at the opening range gap as well. So we almost closed the opening range gap. Let me just take a look at where price really stopped here. So yeah, price is stopping at 50% of the opening range gap. Pretty interesting to see. Yeah, still no first presentation here. We have a small first presentation on NQ, but not on ES. So this was really a heavy drop. Let me just check how many handles did we drop. Yeah, 37. That's a lot for ES, especially on a pre-market situation. Yeah, so it seems like ES is pushing a little bit higher, but right now, the first quadrant of this NWOG is acting as resistance here, as you can see. So on the higher time frames, we still have a large SMT in between ES and NQ, especially at the highs. I don't believe there's any SMT at the lows. I'm just checking for it. Yeah, there's not. And yeah, honestly, I'm more inclined to see some weakness around these points here, around the first quadrant, or eventually a little bit above, around the midpoint of that NWOG. Eventually here at the mitigation block, but I don't think we will move all the way up. we are reaching for equilibrium as well of this leg. So some sort of weakness might happen as soon as we hit 50% of that leg. So that's what I'm inclined to see, especially on ES and in Q. At this point, I'm more inclined to target previous day low and eventually Monday's low. Let me just take a look at the regular trading hours once again, just to see where liquidity is still available. So we have some liquidity here. We have some liquidity here as well. Of course, we have buy side liquidity here as these relative equal highs, but let's see. NQ starts to show some weakness. Seems like it's starting to show some weakness here. Let's see if he wants to follow his steps. But I will be very cautious here. Will not try to rush into something just because. In a market like this, we can be punished very very quickly, and I'm not willing to get punished on a Wednesday. So I prefer to wait and see something objective. Not just engaging because I'm starting to see some weakness or something like that. I need to see a clear model development. And so far, no first presentation on ES. ES is trying to push towards the first quadrant of dead end walk. I believe we are at the equilibrium right now on this range. Yeah, almost reaching it. Almost reaching equilibrium here. We have to keep in mind that we will have 9:45 news. So in 3 minutes, we have a news driver, and we will have another news driver at 10. So the market can eventually stall a little bit, waiting for this news driver. So that's why I'm not rushing right now. Mhm. Yeah, but so far 930 open is holding here, especially on ES. Let me just see. Yeah, NQ is playing slightly below 930 open. So a little bit weaker. Just let me take a look at YM just to see if YM is the strongest one. Yeah, definitely. Very nice to see here. Yeah, YM just totally recovered from that drop. Very curious to see. It's a 0.5% drop. Yeah, but I don't see the same here happening on ES nor in Q, honestly. Let me take a look at YM once again, just to see where Monday's low is and previous day low. Okay, Monday's low was taken already. Okay. So what about you guys? What are your expectations for today's price action? Are you willing to see higher prices, or are you expecting to see higher prices or lower prices? I'm just curious to see how you guys, what are your expectations on price action? So I would like to know about it. But so far, nothing that we can work with, honestly. Nothing that we can work with. So it seems like market is waiting for 10 a.m. news, and I will probably wait for that 10 a.m. candle as well, which I already talked about it. It's an important time window of the day because it starts the new 4 hour candle. It starts a new 1 hour candle. It starts a new 15-minute candle. So a lot can happen at 10 a.m. But usually we wait for something to play as a manipulation in the first minutes of 10 a.m. And then we usually engage with the actual move or the actual intention of price. So still no first presentation here on ES. Pretty thick market. It was quite a low resistance to the downside here, but now it is really having a hard time to get out of this first quadrant of this new week opening gap here that we can see. Yeah, 930 is still holding here. Same on on NQ. At this point, I believe we closed the opening range gap. Almost. Let me take a look at what NQ. Yeah, NQ is still far away from closing it. Still have some liquidity here. Of course, we have liquidity here at the upside as well. So let's see. We are entering the 950 time frame window. So 950 macro. We have some relative equal lows here as well. So looking at the 15-minute time frame, we can see that a bearish CB was formed with this down leg here, with this down move. And price is really working, especially on ES, is working inside of that CB. Now I would like to see price kind of rejecting it and then eventually a continuation to the downside. Otherwise, we will climb that CB and eventually move towards midnight open, 8:30 open, Monday's high. Because it's taking a long time here for a continuation to the downside, honestly. It's taking a long time for both, you know. But usually a continuation move shall not take that long to develop. Unless we are indeed waiting for 10 a.m. news, and as soon as 10 a.m. news hits, we will move lower. Let me take a look at the 2 minutes. So rejection at the first quadrant of the NWOG. And now rejection of 9:30 open. Is it? Inside the macro. Continuation lower towards previous day low, Monday's low. At least that's what I would like to see, but we don't even have any sort of fair value gap. But now we are starting to displace. Yeah, not liking how price is just wicking here and right away moving on the opposite direction. Yeah, see, it's just like a fake out uh, to the downside here, since we are exiting the N walk. But whenever price just retraces right away back, it kind of makes me wonder: are you faking me? You probably are. What about you guys? Have you done anything yet, or are you just waiting for 10 a.m. news? Because at this point, I will definitely wait 5 more minutes. It makes no sense to engage with the market prior to 10 a.m. at this point. If I just waited this long, I think I can wait a little bit more. And what about you? Have you done anything yet? Are you just ready to engage with something? What are your expectations for today's price action? Let me take a look at the 5 minutes. Yeah, the 5 minutes seems messy as well. Yeah, the 15 minute I will mark the bearish fair value gap here, just for the sake of it. Yeah, I will mark this way. So in terms of whenever you have a large PD array like this one, if you divide it in quadrants, you may have a better perspective on what price is really doing. So rejection at the first quadrant, it didn't reach for the midpoint, but honestly, there was nothing here that we could have engaged with. And now we are rejecting once again the bottom of it. So usually this to me indicates that we are kind of weak unless we can go above this quadrant, the first quadrant. And since we played a fake out to the downside here, yeah, we might probably end up doing that, taking out these highs. And I'm not sure, honestly, if we will continue to the upside, because there's some pretty juicy highs here, as you can see. But at the same time, there's some pretty juicy lows here, as you can see as well. And in the beginning of the week, I told you guys that I would like to see price in the first days of December to eventually come down to 25% of the monthly wick. That's right here. For a continuation to the upside, or a continuation to new all-time highs. I'm not sure if that will happen or not, but and at the same time we have a 4-hour bullish fair value gap that's still untapped here. If you come, if I take a look at the 4-hour, you can see that pretty well. See? So in the first days of the month, in the first days of the trading week, I said to you guys that I would like to see price coming a little bit lower before heading to all-time highs. That would mark a more sustainable run to new all-time highs, eventually coming down to 25% of the previous monthly wick, and I don't know, probably towards this untapped fair value gap. But it can happen that price will just hang here for a while and decides to continue its move to the upside. It's just a matter of what would be more efficient for price to do. So I believe 10 a.m. news just hit. Yeah, there we go. And so far, the first quadrant of this bearish fair value gap is acting as resistance. Let's just see if we can eventually climb to the upside here. Because until now, we have no fair value gaps. I mean, we just have this one here. We only have this one, which I believe is the first presented fair value gap as well. So the first presented fair value gap almost at 10 a.m. This might be a red flag for us. Whenever we have a late first presented fair value gap like this, it means that price can be very thick, very nimble. It can eventually take too much time to do anything. But so far, I kind of like how price just faked an exit here, a breakdown of this and walk. We climbed with a presentation of a fair value gap. We held 930 open, and now we are climbing. Looking at the YM, yeah, looking at YM, it seems like it is prepared to start to run as well. There we go. So nice displacement here, taking out the first quadrant of this bearish fair value gap. But it will be tricky to engage with this move right now. I see. Well, it's leaving a lot of imbalances behind, so let's see if we can engage with something here. Let me just take a look at the regular trading hours once again. Well, we have our touch here. I'm just assessing if this is a reliable touch or not. Yeah, because at this point, price came for the premium of the range. If I look at OTE levels, it stopped right at 62%. So it means that we can move towards lower price action because we have relative equal lows here. We have some liquidity still here. We are rejecting the 50% of that bearish fair value gap. So it can mean that we will eventually invert this one and move towards lower price action. So that's why I'm kind of cautious about this. I'm not liking how we retraced so deep into this one, into this fair value gap here. You take a look once again at YM. YM still pushing here. M and Q kind of weak to me. ES doing the same here. Yeah, the problem is that we are holding these quadrants on the bearish fair value gap and here as well. me take a look at the 2 minutes. Yeah, we have a fair value gap on the 2 minutes. The 3 minutes still valid as a bullish retrace. Why does my NQ chart just stopped? God damn it. Yeah, I was looking at NQ, but it was, oh well. Yeah, I'm not liking how price is wicking here. It seems weak, but the way it's acting, it's, I don't know. I wish we had something clearer. Let me check the 2 minute here. Hmm. Yeah, price is still playing inside of this bearish fair value gap, and the way it is playing, I'm not that interested. At this point, I need to see a breakdown from this bearish fair value gap, or eventually some displacement to the upside, because we can continue. We can, this retrace can just form a lower low, or a higher low. I mean, and continue to the upside. But the way it kind of rejected here the midpoint of this fair value gap here, and now it's not been able to close above its first quadrant. I'm more inclined to see a continuation bearish here. Unless we, of course, have a displacement above this quadrant, reclaiming this fair value gap as a bullish one. Otherwise, if we stay below it, I mean, we can see lower prices, I believe. I'm not sure about you guys, but this is what I'm looking for right now. Let me just mark OT levels here, just to see if we are somehow respecting them. Yes, we are. So yeah, if we displace to the upside once again and can reclaim this fair value gap as a bullish one, then we probably will head towards these highs. Otherwise, if we stay below it or below the midpoint of it, I believe we have room to go lower. Yeah, it seems like price is trying to um, move higher. So this retrace was probably a formation of a low high, a high or low. I mean, I'm sorry. But the way the market is presenting itself, I'm not sure if I will engage with something, honestly, because it's way too, I mean, bow, 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 bow. We can be like this for the rest of the session, and I'm not sure if I want to engage in something like that. I would be interested if we had a move lower because that would give us some sort of a low resistance move to the downside. But I'm not sure if a low resistance move will happen to the upside. See, another rejection here at the 50% of that fair value gap. Yeah, still observing here. Even for longs, it's not that great, honestly. I'm really more inclined to lower action. I'm not sure if it will happen, but what about you guys? Just write it down in the chat and I will interact with you guys. What are your expectations? Are you expecting higher prices from here? Or because for higher prices, I mean, it's taking a lot of time right now. We are probably, I'm not sure, but we are probably accumulating longs just to distribute lower at this point. Yeah, but there's no follow through on these moves. That's the problem. I guess that's today's problem, is that we don't have any follow through on either side of the moves. Well, very boring market so far. Very boring market. There's not much we can do here, honestly. At least we can observe it. Observe it. At least we can observe and learn a little bit. Because yeah, it's when we face days like this, it can act as a high resistance to the upside, and I'm really not into participating in some sort of high resistance because I tend to believe that high resistance is a time consuming market. Very frustrating to engage with that type of price action. And yeah, it's whenever we have a high resistance market, it means it it can deliver to your objectives. Okay, I'm not saying that it won't, but at some point it can revert very quickly, and you will have no time to engage with that reversal, and you will end up being break even or eventually being stopped out from your position. So that's why I usually don't like to play high resistance markets, and this is definitely a high resistance where um, the market is doing something, but it's coming all the way back whenever we have a new high. So this, to me, it's it's quite frustrating, because if you try to protect yourself at break even, you will end up being stopped out. Okay, you will end up being stopped out at break even, but it can be frustrating if your stop uh, will get hit every, I don't know, every 30 minutes, or I'm not sure, because at some point you will have to wait just to be in a small profit, and suddenly you will lose all that profit and get stopped out to break even. So that, to me, it's very frustrating. I usually like those clean runs where price just says goodbye, and okay, I will see you later, and not be here for quite a while and mumbling around here, uh, back and forth. That to me is not the ideal scenario of a good price action. I will mark the 1050 to 1110 macro here. Shall we have the move to the upside now? Or, because at this point, and yeah, and I have to add this as well. With a market like this, you end up switching bias very often. And yeah, in a moment you're bullish and expecting it to deliver higher, and in the next moment you're kind of uh, bearish, expecting it to deliver lower. Because yeah, that's the nature of these markets. They tend to mess up with your bias, and they tend to mess up with your expectations on price. So um, that's why it's kind of frustrating to play these markets like this. Yeah, price just keep hitting the midpoint of the bearish fair value gap, but it's not willing to close above it. As you can see, the moment it closed above it, it kind of rejected right away. So that, to me, is a sign of, okay, I'm not prepared to go higher yet. I need to probably grab something lower. Um, so it can happen that price will stay here for a while, just to gain some sort of liquidity, and then eventually move towards a target. But yeah, it's kind of a it's kind of a boring market today. But that's quite usual, honestly. Whenever you have that's another thing that you should expect on price. Whenever you have a leg like this on a pre-market, you should expect or you should lower your expectations for the New York AM session. Because if price delivers like this with a one-sided move to the downside, and it moves like, let me just see, it moves like more than 0.5% prior to the market open, you shall not expect you shall not expect that price will deliver like this for the rest of the session. You should expect that price will gain some liquidity. It needs to generate some more liquidity. It needs to engage some more players in just to distribute later. So it is quite normal whenever you have these stretched markets prior to the open, that after 9:30 nothing will happen, and that's the case here. Whenever you have a stretched market prior to the open, after the open you might end up with a non-tradable market, and that's honestly the case here, unless you play a larger time frame. On the 1 minute, this is quite frustrating to trade. See, this is really frustrating to trade because moves will happen suddenly, but they usually are followed by harsh retraces, putting your stop loss in jeopardy. And yeah, it's quite hard, quite hard. So let me just check once again the OTE levels for this bearish leg. Yeah, and we are still respecting them. So unless we climb higher here, we can eventually still go lower from here. But yeah, for a higher drive, I'm not interested in this, honestly. Because we just like here, we can end up doing something like this and then retrace lower once again, then come once again to the upside, retrace lower once again. And if you try to protect yourself, probably at the beginning of the displacement, you will end up getting stopped out. So to me, there's no point to try to interact with this. It will be just frustrating to see that price will probably not retrace eventually, or retrace in a harsh way, taking your break even out. And yeah, honestly, this is not the type of market that I like to play. So this is one of those things that as traders we have to accept that not every day is a trading day. Not every day it's a day that your model might develop. I'm not saying that your model will not develop. It usually develops every day, but the conditions that your model will develop, they might end up being such. They might end up being conditions where it's probably not to try it. So And I think that's one of these days where the model, I believe the model is here. Well, it is. I'm not sure if the model is here or not because we didn't take out the sell side that I would like to see taken out. And we formed some relative equal lows here. So, yeah, I guess this is not the type of market that I was expecting for today's price action. And yeah, we end up taking nothing, which is okay. Better not do anything than losing money, I guess. Yeah, and at this point, we are filling the 15-minute fair value gap here. So at this point, it's clearly to see that we might end up hitting Monday's high, previous day high. Yeah, but honestly, I'm not into a market that's giving these retraces lower, taking all this time here. I'm not willing to give the market a chance to catch me inside of this mess. So let's see, just for the sake of observation, let's see how far this retrace ends up to be. Because even if you opened your position with this displacement here, probably around here, and you would have protected yourself, at this point you would be probably at break even, unless you just waited for it and you're entering now. But entering now after a 50% NWOG rejection inside of a rejection of a bearish fair value gap, yeah, we can go back inside this small range here. Nothing is saying that we will go straight to the upside. So yeah, Javier, I didn't notice you were here. I'm sorry. Yeah, terrible price action for me. Very terrible price action for me, honestly. So you took a short on pre-market. Yeah, I was not watching the markets when this happened, honestly. I just logged in about when the breakdown was happening already. And you how do you caught any longs here? Because there was nothing here for me to play the longs. But yeah, this to me was terrible price action. But I'm glad. I'm glad you made something. But I wasn't able to do nothing today with this type of price action. But yeah, just like I said, it's quite usual for price action to behave like this whenever we have a stretched movement right at the open, or right prior to the open in this case. Oh well. Very, very annoying price action, honestly. See, as I was telling you, even buying here, see, there's no willingness for price to go to the upside. It's a no trade day for me. So I guess we are keeping discipline above everything. Very boring price action. God damn. So I believe we will have probably a good New York PM session since a lot of liquidity is being generated here with this small moves. Can happen that the New York PM session will be better. But yeah, definitely not a day for me to trade. Guess I will be around for a couple more minutes. Just to see if anything will happen, because it can eventually happen prior to, not prior, but after 11. So I'm just curious to see if anything will develop after 11. We'll see how long this is taking. Imagine that you bought this fair value gap, which is quite legitimate, but imagine how long you would have been here just to be slightly above break even. I don't think it's worth the time and the effort, and I don't think it's worth the risk. So whenever we are in this type of positions, we always have to balance things in order to assess if it's worth it to risk it or not. So and this for me is surely not a good spot to be risking anything here. Still observing nothing. If you think that I will buying somewhere here just to expect price to go from Monday's high, I will not do it. This is not my cup of tea of price action, honestly. I prefer to sit down, observe it, learn something from it, and yeah, instead of risking something, having the chance or the probabilities to lose money. That's not what we do here. Oh well. We are inside 1050 macro. So probably the 1050 macro will help somehow price to reach its target. Yeah, price seems to be a little bit weak now, especially on NQ. If you look at NQ, we are approaching the 1050 macro as well. Price did not reach for the highs that everybody who's been buying this are probably waiting. So it means that there's a lot of liquidity below all those lows. So let's see if this macro will be utilized to spool price to the downside and eventually trigger all those stops from people that have been buying all this. Price still holding here. Price is still holding. It's just a matter of time for how long. It took out these relative equal lows. I mean, it formed another relative equal low. Yeah, we have a slightly SMT, a small SMT at the highs here in between ESN and Q. Yeah, that fair value gap is still holding. So it really can be utilized as support on price here, unless we displace lower, which at this point I would like to see, honestly, because it took too much time for price to reach for all this liquidity here. And it's 11 o'clock now, and price didn't reach for it. So it means that there's a lot of stops placed below these lows. So it would be interesting to see all those buyers getting punished in the next couple of minutes. Yeah, that fair value gap is being utilized as support for now. But I still feel like market is lacking some momentum here. It's not the best in terms of momentum. Yeah, really nothing that can eventually be utilized for us to engage with price action. We are in the upper band um, of that lag to the downside, so it means that we are somehow in a bullish in a premium range. So it's kind of suicidal. It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of um, too late for buy anything here. And just like I said before, it's even if you bought this retrace here, just imagine how long you have to be waiting before something happens, something to develop. And even if you have protected yourself after price leaving this fair value gap, you would have been stopped out. So it's really a no market for me. It was kind of a shame because yeah, it dropped really hard in the first minutes of, I mean, prior to the open, it dropped really hard. So the market makers could have been a little bit more friendly and delivered this lag as soon as the market opened. But they decided to move the market without us. So yeah, it's kind of a shame, honestly. Next time I will probably end up calling them just to say them to say to them to hold their horses, because yeah, we couldn't be part of um, this bearish movement here. It's kind of a shame. But even the macro, the 1050 macro is not delivering. So I presume whenever we have these types of situations, I presume that 11:30, the time window in between 11:50 to 11:30 will eventually give us something to work with. I'm willing to wait a bit more, 10 minutes more probably, just to see if something like that will happen. But if not, I will probably end the stream, because at this point I'm just watching paint dry, so it doesn't make any sense for us to keep on watching this. very annoying market here. Let me just check what gold is doing. So gold just made a new high here. Euro USD moving to the upside. What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin was doing a nice reaction yesterday. Yeah, Bitcoin was not sure. So we are almost approaching 11:15, so it means that we will probably we can eventually probably expect something to happen. And since price was not able to reach for that upper liquidity, it can eventually show us something to the downside. But I really don't like how we left these relative equal highs here. Same on NQ. So this might end up be just a manipulation to the downside, and eventually we will go back for these relative equal highs. We took them out on ES, but not on a Q. So I'm just observing, but I really feel like those relative equal highs are kind of suspicious. If this would have been a purge, a higher purge, I would probably aim for an entry. But since we left these relative equal highs, I'm not sure if I would like to engage in something lower here. This to me is too clean here. Oh well, guys, market is too slow for me. It's not delivering the way I would like to see it delivering here if we would like to head lower. So yeah, I guess I will end the stream here. It's a no position day. It's a no trading day for me. We are almost 2 hours in as well. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. It was a nice read, I guess. It was a nice read, but yeah, unfortunately we were not able to engage with this price action. Because as you can see, we just have 2 minutes of displacement, 3 minutes of displacement, 2 minutes, and after that, it's just a no-go. See, I really didn't like how these relative equal highs were presented. That's why I didn't try to short this. yeah, that's it, guys. I guess I will end up the stream here. We are back inside this range. No follow through to the downside, so it means that we are still interested in these highs, and it will probably deliver those. But I honestly didn't like how we trade, how we end up presenting this price action. This is not my cup of tea in terms of price action. So I end up taking nothing, just a tape reading session. And yeah, I guess tomorrow there will be another opportunity. Tomorrow will be probably a better day than today. It was a good day for those who were able to catch the pre-market movement. But yeah, for those who already know me, you guys know that I usually don't take anything prior to the open, so that's why we are ending the session without anything taken here. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Hope to see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Thursday, almost ending the week already. And yeah, stay safe. Thank you for being there, and yes, see you tomorrow. Bye.